Today was one of the biggest announcements in real estate industry history as NAR proposed a settlement. Now, what does that mean for real estate agents? Does that mean we're all gonna leave the business? We're not gonna have a job anymore? It's the end of 6% commissions. A lot of media companies out there right now are sensationalizing what's actually happening. So that's what I'm covering in today's video. What the NAR settlement means for you as a real estate agent. We're even leaned over in my chair today because it's worth watching this video to learn for the future and how to better prep yourself as a real estate agent. So I'm gonna provide my perspective, what real estate agents need to be doing differently going forward, and how this affects brokerages going forward. And maybe you're a real estate agent at one of these other brokerages. And so I want you to watch this video to listen and maybe gain some future insight. So let's jump in. What's actually happening in the real estate industry today? So NAR sent out mass email to all of its members, over 1 million nationwide in America, that they are offering to settle these class action lawsuits where consumers have made various claims, one of them being that NAR has artificially inflated home prices due to commissions. Now, if you think about it and you go walk on the street and you go ask the everyday Joe, how much is it gonna cost to sell a house? A lot of times they'll throw out the number 6%, and that's what the media is running with. It's the end of 6% commissions. So what's happening? Well, NAR said, hey, we're tired of fighting. We're tired of these class action lawsuits, and in an effort to protect all of our members, because you saw Keller Williams is getting tagged, Remax is getting tagged, all these big brokerages, they are just copy and pasting this class action lawsuit in every single state and just suing everybody. So NAR said, how can we stop this? They even said in their email, they potentially looked at filing bankruptcy, but that might not clear the gates for its members for the future. So they're offering to settle at $418 million. So where did these settlement talks come from? Well, the cost to defend class action lawsuits is so expensive. It's not even just hiring attorneys. You have to hire attorneys that are versed in class action cases. Well, NAR's insurance ran out for coverage of cooperating compensation related lawsuits of $1 million in coverage. And now they're offering to settle. Plus, with the Missouri case, they were found liable of potentially $1.8 billion of damages, which with treble damages could be $5 billion in damages. So they are offering, hey, we'll pay $411 million over the next 4 years. So what does this mean for you as a real estate agent going forward? One, this type of settlement, if accepted by the judge, which that's gonna take some time. It could take months, it could take years. But if it is accepted, that means every single realtor member will be protected and be off the hook for any future potential class action lawsuits related to cooperating compensation. However, if your brokerage firm has done over $2 billion of volume in 2022, you may still be on the hook and still be out there exposed. Or if you're part of Home Services of America, they are still fighting it and you are not under this blanket coverage for this settlement. So the good news is, for a lot of agents out there, you would be covered if the court system approves this settlement. But again, that could take months or years to formally approve. The next change that NAR is stating they're going to enact by July is going to be removing off realtor-owned MLS systems an offer of compensation. So does that mean buyer's agents are just instantly gone? No. And I've been getting a lot of calls today. We have over 330 agents and everybody's been calling concerned. So I want to lay down the facts of what it means going forward. So cooperating compensation may come off different realtor-owned MLS systems, but there's a lot of different MLS systems out there. So RealTrax is a realtor-owned MLS system in Middle Tennessee. That means local associations own that MLS. Now there's others out there like FMLS, Stellar MLS, Paragon, that are third-party providers and are not covered under this blanket settlement. So they're gonna have to make their own determination if they wanna follow realtor-run MLS systems as well and remove cooperating compensation. So that means it comes off. Now, does that mean it's gone? No, it's just gonna be worked out off the MLS. It's between you and the other agent to work that out. Or if the buyer wants to include you in it, that part of their offer or other paperwork could include that you still get paid, but it's just not gonna be a unilateral offer that, hey, any single agent, everybody's the exact same, and this is how much we're gonna pay you. States like Georgia with the GAR forms are already doing a good job getting ahead of the curve, where on the listing agreement, for example, they have a total commission, and then the seller can choose a checkbox, either to pay part of this total commission as a cooperating compensation, or to not pay any of this as a cooperating compensation to a buyer. And I could see more states moving towards this model going forward. What is gonna change, and all of these are coming in July, is going to be a new field that instead of cooperating compensation, it's going to be seller offered concessions. And the seller can put a unilateral offer for concessions, and those can go towards a buyer's closing costs. So they may put 2%, 3%, $5,000, $10,000, whatever the seller wants to potentially offer as concessions to a buyer interested in their home. Again, this is going to be Fully up to the seller, whatever they want to do. And the final change for real estate agents is going to be a mandatory written buyer's representation agreement before touring homes. This is already a good practice to do if you're not already doing as a real estate agent. It's not the best practice to put 0% on a buyer's rep agreement, but then you get paid from a listing brokerage. You should put on there and already practice. And this is what we've been teaching our agents for several months now, is always have a buyer's rep agreement. Always put a commission that if you are not offered anything from a seller or a listing agent, that you should be prepared to charge that buyer. And you need to justify and explain why you are worth that and actually show your value. Again, with agents, it's time to step up our professionalism. It's time to plug into our tools, our resources, fine tune our craft. We can't just say, well, how do I log in? How do I fill out this form? How do I do this? We can't have that amateurism anymore. We have to step it up if we want to be compensated and compensated fairly for what we bring to the table. If we bring nothing to the table, then yes, we can be replaced. But if we do bring something to the table, agents out there that know what they're doing are worth their weight in gold. They represent you. They have a fiduciary duty to represent your best interest, and they're worth every single penny. But are you worth every single penny as a real estate agent? And that's what I want to challenge you going forward. That cooperating compensation is coming off. We're going to have to negotiate that outside of the MLS. And we're going to have everything in writing. And that's what we've been doing here at our brokerage, is saying everything has to be in writing. You can't charge a penny to somebody without them signing off and approving and knowing what they're being charged and why. And that's what we've been doing. Now, part 2 of this video is jumping into the brokerage side of it, because I see a lot of different things than what a real estate agent has to experience. With real estate agents, we're going to be fine. There's always going to be room for you. There's always going to be a position to represent somebody. We just have to think we are a service-based business. We are service providers. Think if you hire a roofer, a plumber, electrician, any of those professionals, a doctor, an attorney, any of those people are going to come with a cost, and they're going to come with an agreement that you have to sign to pay that cost. We need to do that as real estate agents. That way consumers are fully aware of what it costs to use us, and we're going to explain our value. So there's always room. It's kind of like playing basketball, for example. They, at one point in history, introduced the three-point line. Now, I'm sure players were very upset. Some of them were very mad. What do you mean a three-point line? That doesn't even make sense. But the game adapted. People started shooting three-pointers, and now you got Steph Curry out there. Same thing. The game's changing, but the game is still there. You're still in the game. You can still play. Just learn the new rules, communicate clearly, and always get everything in writing, and you'll be just fine. Our real estate agent commission is going to come down. Probably. Just a little bit, because sellers now fully understand there's choice. Buyers fully understand there's choice. There's going to be agents competing for that business and having to compete with compensation. Now, jumping into part 2 of 3 of this video is covering the brokerage side of it. How does this affect real estate agents with the brokerage that they're working at? Every single real estate agent has to hang their license under a brokerage. Could it still affect you with these class action lawsuits? Here's my thoughts. NAR said in their video that if your brokerage did over $2 billion of volume in 2022, that you are not covered under this offer of settlements. Our company, Zach Taylor Real Estate, did not do $2 billion or more of volume in 2022 because that was only our second year of business. That would be crazy if we did that in our second year. But we have over 330 agents in 3 years of business in Tennessee, Georgia, about to open in Alabama, and about to be in Florida. So we would be protected under this NAR settlement if it's approved by the courts. But what does it mean for other agents that are with these Kellers, these EXPs, these Coldwell Bankers going forward? Now, NAR said there's a mechanism where potentially they could get in with this settlement class and be protected, but I'm curious about the details of that as I haven't seen anything on that. Well, you may still be subject to these class action lawsuits. Now, this is pure speculation, this next part, and this is me kind of just going off the cuff of my different perspectives and opinion, and this is truly what this is, my opinion. Now, last year, Keller Williams, for example, was popped for do not call list violations and settled a $40 million lawsuit. That was last January. Well, guess what also happened last January? A lot of the local Keller Williams offices added a $25 technology fee to every single agent. Now, I don't know if that's nationwide, but let's say you times the 170,000 agents that are with Keller Williams, times $25 a month, times 12, there's roughly your $40 to $50 million settlement money. Well, what happens if these brokerages are still tied up with that you're working for? Well, they incur these large, massive legal fees because fighting antitrust lawsuits and these class actions are very expensive. You can't just hire an average attorney. You have to go hire specialized attorneys in class action lawsuits. Those are very expensive. Where do they get the money if they don't have it? You. They tax you as the real estate agent. Think about NAR, for example. They said they are going to pay $418 million over the next 4 years. Well, I believe off memory, and I could be totally wrong, but NAR only has roughly around $90 million in money in reserves. So where are they going to come up with an extra $300 million? You. They're going to tax the members, and they could probably raise the fees over the next couple of years. Same thing with your brokerage. If they're going to settle this money and pay tens of millions of dollars, guess what may be coming down the road pretty quickly? Raising your monthly fees, your commission splits, your franchise fees. All this is subject to change because they have to raise tens of millions of dollars from somewhere. And so that could lead to you getting charged more as a real estate agent. And then more of you may start realizing, you know what, this isn't the best place for me. I want to switch. So then that brokerage start losing members and they're charging more money. So it's just a cascading effect that they lose more and more and more because they have to keep charging more and more and more. So the way I see it for the future is there's going to be a new trend of real estate brokerages going forward. And we designed our brokerage prior to these class action lawsuits becoming nationwide media attention. We designed our brokerage to be transaction based. Now, CNN says this is the future of flat fee and discount brokers, but I think discount broker is the wrong term. Traditional brokerages where you pay a very large split like to use this word to discredit what we are doing in this real estate industry. Discount broker, meaning we are less than adequate and we offer less than what they have. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. This is the way of the future is transaction-based companies, not discount brokers, transaction-based companies. We can still offer the same tools, the same support, the same training. We can offer all these different elements that you have as well and not take 20% of everything an agent makes, 30% of everything an agent makes. I've seen 50, 75% broker splits out there. We don't do that. We charge one small transaction fee. So a real estate commission is going to come down in the next couple of years? Probably. But guess who's going to be more designed for the future? The transaction-based companies, because we're not taxing our agents. We also allow our agents freedom of choice with their commissions. There's still brokerages out there that say you have to get 6% commission. And if you want to charge less as an independent contractor, which is what real estate agents are, you have to get approval from me as the broker. We don't do that. That's such the old way of thinking. The new way is a transaction-based. Could you imagine closing a deal and your broker takes 30% of everything you make, then a 6% franchise fee, then the IRS takes 12 to 24% of your income, then you have all your expenses? What's left for you as a real estate agent? And that's what we're designing here with our brokerage is a transaction base. We continue to grow based on responsible growth. So I do ask, if you're a real estate agent out there and you're with these traditional brokerages, consider looking at other transaction-based companies because there could be a better fit for you. No brokerage is a one-size-fits-all. And for me, when I was working my own business, generating the leads, closing the deals, and then had 36% taken every single time, that wasn't the fit for me. So I chose to make a difference. And that's what we're creating at our company, Zach Taylor Real Estate. Click the link below and check out what we have to offer. So part 3 of this video is covering what the media is not talking about with the National Association of Realtors. We are really going to dive into the weeds right now. So what do I think moving forward? Because nobody is talking about this, but it's a bigger underlying issue within our own real estate industry. So right now, in order to become a real estate agent, you must pass all the state licensing requirements, and then you become licensed real estate agent with the state. But a lot of people pay to join the club and become a realtor. It's a separate designation. You're basically joining the country club. Legally, you can help somebody buy or sell as a real estate agent, but you're paying to be part of the club. Why? Well, because oftentimes these brokerages and these agents want access to the MLS. Well, who owns the MLS systems in a lot of these states? The realtor boards. So they require that you have to be a realtor and pay $550 to $650 every single year just so that you can then turn around and pay for the MLS system. There needs to be a decoupling. The MLSs need to be on one side and you can truly be an agent and join the MLS and pay for that if you see value in that. And if you want to be a realtor and see benefits in being a National Association of Realtor member, then you can pay and join the club. But right now it's a voluntary, mandatory scenario that's in our real estate industry. It's not really voluntary. If you want the tools of the trade, if you want to be part of the MLS, oftentimes you have to and you're forced to be a realtor. And there's a glaring issue in our real estate industry when if you poll agents out there, I would proudly say 80% plus would choose not to be a National Association of Realtor member. And why? Because I believe the NAR Association is not doing a good job of voicing what it actually does for its members. All we see is the headlines, the class action lawsuits. We see the annual dues come up of $550 to $650 every single year. Add all that onto NAR and the recent turnover with previous leadership roles being blackmailed or resigning for sexual harassment or being forced into early retirement. There's a lot of bad press with NAR and a lot of turnover within the leadership group. These entities finally need to be separated. MLS on one side, realtor on the other side. And if agents can truly have a choice moving forward, they can choose, they're not forced. Because recently, one of our local associations said, hey, Zach, you have 10 members that haven't paid, and you better either have them pay me, or I'm gonna bill you as the broker, or they better retire their license. Who are you as the association to tell me what we should do with our agent's license? This is people's livelihood on the line. They have done their time. They've gotten the license. They're legally allowed to help people buy or sell. You shouldn't affect them as the country club to tell them what to do with their license. If they want to help people buy or sell, great. If they don't want to pay to join the club, then leave them alone. And what I did is I moved those 10 people to another association that was way cheaper because I wasn't going to put up with it. I'm tired of having associations bully us around. I'm tired of having associations tell us what to do with real estate agents' license. It's not your license. And this is people's livelihood on the line. Stop telling us what to do with them and stop forcing them to pay. It's time to allow choice in our industry. And that's what I see moving forward. And that's why I see a lot of agents, at least our 300 plus strong, are all for it. And I know more and more brokers are jumping on board. And a lot of different brokerages are saying it's now optional to join NAR. Brokerages in Washington, like Coldwell Banker, are leaving NAR requirements and saying you don't have to anymore. Keller Williams in their settlement proposal said, we are not going to mandate that our agents become realtors. So it's time for the MLSs to step up and separate. It's time for the associations to allow choice. And that's what I believe allows a better real estate industry, a better environment for not only the agents, because we lower their costs and their fees, but also for the consumers with cooperating compensation. And combined, these two different solutions allow us to pave the way for the future in real estate. So that's my take on this whole thing going forward. Are real estate agents still going to have a place? Absolutely. If you remove a buyer's agent entirely, it's like a plaintiff's attorney would represent both sides of a court situation. There's always going to be room for representation on both sides, but it's up to us as real estate agents to show our value, to be the professional and help the everyday person buy or sell a house and accomplish that American dream.